Although disappointing, many highly regarded players entering the NBA from college or overseas proved to not reach expectations, and in many cases, far from it.
The Cleveland Cavaliers select Anthony Bennet of Toronto, Canada.
As for the 2010 decade, there have been many draft busts, some more obvious than others. That being said, let's go over the biggest draft bust of each year in the 2010s. Welcome to Sportsphere. Let's get into it. After John Wall, Evan Turner, and Derek Favors were drafted with the top 3 picks of the 2010 draft, it was Minnesota's turn to draft with the 4th pick. And although players like DeMarcus Cousins and Paul George were still on the table, the Wolves selected Wesley Johnson.
The Minnesota Timberwolves select Wesley Johnson of Syracuse University.
Prior to being drafted, Wesley Johnson was seen as a two-way athletic wing with a jump shot. However, disappointment would soon strike for Minnesota despite expectations. Johnson's NBA career began with mediocre output, averaging 9 points and 3 rebounds per game in his rookie season. However, after that season, his output stayed stagnant and his impact would soon decline. This saw him be passed around the league, firstly from Minnesota to Phoenix, then to the Lakers, where he showed some improvement but was still considered an average player at best.
Wesley Johnson, and then he hits a 3. Wow.
Subsequent trades to the Clippers, then Wizards, saw his minutes continue to decline, and it soon became clear that his time in the NBA was coming to an end by 2019. After drafting Wesley Johnson at number 4 in the prior season for the 2011 draft, the Timberwolves had the 2nd overall pick. But as you may know, they would again not use it wisely. Although many future stars like Kawhi Leonard and Klay Thompson were on the table, the Wolves would go with Derek Williams. Prior to being selected, Williams showed potential as an athletic big man who was a monster in the paint. After having a below-average first 2 seasons with the Wolves, a significant injury during his 3rd season proved to further set back his career. Despite overcoming these injuries, they seemed to linger and take a toll on him in time to come. This led to continuous trades and diminishing roles. After spending 3 years with the Timberwolves, Williams had brief stints on 5 teams, eventually landing with the Lakers in 2017. And this would end up being his final season in the NBA, where he would play just 2 games before being waived. Overall, an unfortunate NBA career for Williams, but a major draft bust nevertheless. For the 2012 NBA season, the Sacramento Kings proved to regret their decision after selecting Thomas Robinson with the 5th pick. Robinson was a 6'9" forward seen as a prototypical two-way wing who was also quick for his size. However, Robinson not only failed to live up to the expectations, but he did so in rapid fashion. During his rookie season, he played 51 games for the Kings and averaged under 5 points and 5 rebounds per game on 42% shooting. This saw the Kings quickly give up on him, resulting in his departure to the Houston Rockets. And despite the change of scenery, he continued to disappoint, which saw him continuously bounce around the league in the following seasons, playing for 4 other teams, and after the 2016 season with the Lakers, he would continue his career overseas. As for the 2013 NBA draft, as you probably know, the number 1 pick Anthony Bennet proved to be the biggest bust in this draft class by far, and probably also the biggest in the decade. Prior to the 2013 draft, there was no consensus top pick in that draft, and no one knew who the Cavs would select with the 1st pick. Although Giannis, Victor Oladipo, and CJ McCollum were still on the table, Cleveland made the executive decision to select Anthony Bennet with the 1st pick. This shocked the entire NBA world, and questions were soon raised because he wasn't even projected to go in the top 5. As we know, the risky move did not pay off, and it was evident from the beginning. In fact, Bennet had one of the shortest NBA careers among any player on this list, playing a total of only 4 seasons before he was waived. It took him 5 games to score his first bucket and 33 games to reach double figures, quickly resulting in a regretful Cavaliers front office. He averaged just over 12 minutes and 4.2 points per game in his rookie season, proving to be a disappointment on both ends of the floor, prompting the Cavs to part ways with him the following summer. He then joined the Wolves, then Raptors, and finally the Nets before the legendary bust was sent overseas. The following 2014 draft was quite a stacked one, and after Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Joel Embiid, and Aaron Gordon were selected with the top 4 picks, the Utah Jazz had the 5th pick, and decided to go with the promising Australian Dante Exum. Despite playing every single game in his rookie season, Exum would average under 5 points per game while shooting an abysmal 35% from the field and 30% from three. Although he seemed like an athletic guard that strived in the paint, it seemed like he was uncomfortable transitioning to NBA basketball. Although he saw some improvements in the following season, an ACL tear in 2015 would put a halt to his progress, and this put him out for most of the season that followed. Despite Utah Jazz being patient with Exum over a 5-year period, hoping he would redeem himself, his issues lingered and the knee injury proved to hold him back. Eventually, the Jazz traded him to the Cavaliers, but his performance there also failed to meet NBA standards, which saw him waived after playing just 6 games in the 2020-21 season for Cleveland. Just like the 2014 NBA draft, in 2015, the 5th pick turned out to be the biggest bust, and that player goes by Mario Hezonja. Coming out of the EuroLeague, Hezonja was seen as one of the most promising talents coming out of Europe, with his best attribute being his three-point shooting. But when he was drafted by the Orlando Magic, he proved to have only average shooting ability. Matter of fact, after his first season with Orlando, his career would only go downhill. He shot a decent 35% from three and 90% from the free throw line, but in every season that followed, his shooting efficiency would decline, falling below NBA standards. After just 3 seasons with Orlando, he would appear on the Knicks and the Blazers briefly before his time in the NBA was over. While some might argue that Jahlil Okafor deserves that title as the biggest bust,
Hezonja's 5-year NBA career probably takes the cake.
Similarly to the 2015 draft, a highly regarded European player turned out to be the biggest bust. Coming out of the Israeli League and winning League Cup titles, Dragan Bender would garner the attention from NBA scouts. This led to him being drafted 4th overall, and despite players like Jamal Murray and Sabonis still being on the table, the Phoenix Suns decided to go with Bender, hoping he would be a good big man fit for their star Devin Booker. Bender was seen as a stretch 5 who had good three-point shooting. However, after joining the NBA, his apparent strengths would prove to be his downfall. Bender shot just 28% from 3 in his rookie year and averaged just 3 points per game. And although some improvement was seen as time went on, consistency was a major issue for Bender. As a result, after 3 seasons with Phoenix, he would have brief stints with Milwaukee, then Golden State, before being waived after just 4 seasons. As for the 2017 NBA draft, Josh Jackson stands out as a notable bust. Although there was a general consensus that first pick Markelle Fultz was the biggest bust a few years ago, he's had a resurgence and is now a prominent starter for the Orlando Magic. On the other hand, Josh Jackson had some decent numbers early in his career, but struggled with shooting efficiency and simply couldn't improve fast enough. This saw him playing in the G League after 5 NBA seasons on 4 different teams. Fast forward to 2018, which saw the NBA draft class that featured players like DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, and Trae Young. And after Ayton was selected 1st overall, the Sacramento Kings selected Marvin Bagely III with the 2nd pick. While Bagley showed some early promise, averaging 15 points and 7.6 rebounds in his rookie year, multiple injuries soon hindered his progress as a promising talent. Despite moving to the Detroit Pistons, continually dealing with lingering injuries have heavily limited his time on court. While there's still a chance for a comeback story, as of now, he's widely regarded as the biggest bust of the 2018 NBA draft as the 2nd overall pick, especially considering he was selected before NBA stars like Luka Doncic and Trae Young. As for the final draft of the decade in 2019, Jarrett Culver stands out as the biggest bust after being drafted 6th overall. Despite an average rookie season, averaging over 9 points and 3 rebounds as an athletic wing, Culver's performance on both ends had dropped every year since 2019, with injuries also playing a part in him seeing less court time. After being drafted by the Wolves, he was traded after 2 seasons, which he then spent time on the Grizzlies, then Hawks in subsequent seasons, and in the most recent season, he would exit the NBA for the G League. All in all, draft busts are an unfortunate reality in sports, and for the NBA in the 2010s was no exception. Among the numerous busts, Anthony Bennet undoubtedly stands out as the most significant, having been chosen as the 1st overall pick in the 2013 draft but quickly proving to be below NBA standards. While players like Marvin Bagely III may still have the potential to revive their careers, they still currently hold the title of being the biggest busts in their respective draft classes. More importantly, identifying these draft busts highlights the need for team scouts to continually enhance their processes to prevent such disappointing outcomes in the future, especially for teams like Minnesota and Sacramento. Anyways, thanks for watching SportsSphere. We'll see you in the next video.